Science!
All right, D-Man, science this week. So, in my hunt for cool science topics, I look at everything. I have a couple different science news websites that I look at, and I am always looking just for something that I think is going to be really interesting. More often than not, it's something in space.
Yeah.
This is one of those times that it's not.
Yay!
Yeah, we're not going to...
I don't have to panic.
Yeah, you don't have to panic. There was some cool space news, but I thought this is pretty cool. It's actually two different stories, and they're all about cheese. I like cheese. Do you guys like cheese?
Now I know I'm dyslexic because I read early and ancient Chinese.
Chinese. No, it's early and ancient cheese.
Oh man! Ooh.
Yeah, this is actually a photo of cheese that was made in a very ancient way. So that's the way that they would do it. It's not ancient cheese.
The old people made it.
Yeah, yes, old people made it. But so I did a little digging on these two stories, and I didn't know this, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. That cheese itself actually helped the farming communities move into Europe from Africa.
Move.
Show's over, everybody. We'll never top that pun. No, it actually helped them migrate from Africa to Europe way back in thousands of years ago in BC as farming was becoming a thing.
Yeah.
You know? And the reason why is because it was a food that could travel.
Yeah.
Which is really neat.
Can't go bad if it's already bad.
Right, exactly. So first of all, the analysis of fatty residue in pottery from two Neolithic archaeological sites in Croatia has revealed fermented dairy products from 7,200 years ago.
Wow.
And these are some of the pieces that they found, actually. Access to milk and cheese has been linked to the spread of agriculture across Europe starting 9,000 years ago. That's when people started migrating across and actually bringing agriculture to everybody.
Man, I did not know cheese was that old.
Me either. I honestly didn't. That's why I thought this was so surprising. Like, I love cheese, but I had no idea that it was around, in 7,200 years old. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Evidence of cheese production in the Mediterranean has, until now, only dated back as far as the Bronze Age, 5,000 years ago. So this actually adds over 2,000 more years to the history of cheese.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really neat.
Cheese story.
Cheese. I didn't think we could go any farther, but he dug down deep.
I'm not done. I am not done. There are many more jokes to be had on this topic.
Oh,
Go,
my
Jeff.
God. In a new study by Pennsylvania State University anthropologist Sarah McClure and co-authors, they analyzed stable carbon isotopes of fatty acids preserved on pot shards from two Neolithic villages. And I'm going to get these wrong. Pokrovnik and Danilo Bittinge.
Yeah, you're definitely getting those wrong.
Yeah,
please move on.
It's Croatian. And they're on the Dalmatian coast, which is east of the Adriatic Sea, and they found this direct evidence, which really suggests that cheese production happened way earlier than we thought it did.
So did Croatians invent cheese?
Not invent it, but cheese kind of was invented, from what I was researching, it was kind of invented all at the same time. Because like you said, it's basically just fermenting milk.
Yeah.
And so it happened almost accidentally
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
But then people were like, oh, I can eat this, and it actually is a form of, sustenance that can keep me going. It's not just like
So cheese invented itself.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Cheese was like, I'm going to be cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have
I
a
just
choice.
happen to be delicious. You're welcome.
These villages were occupied between 6,000 and 4,800 BC and preserved several types of pottery across that age range. Here's a couple more examples of that pottery. The team's analysis found evidence of milk along with meat and fish throughout this period and evidence of cheese starting around 5,200 BC. The residents of those two towns appear to have used specific pottery types for the production of different foods. So the cheese residue they found was most commonly in sieves and another type of pottery called raita. And so, like, it was specific types of pottery that they had cheese in, specific types that they had fish in, specific types that they had their meat in, and it's pretty neat. So Dr. McClure went on to say, this pushes back cheese making around 4,000 years, and the presence of milk in pottery in this area is seen as early as 7,700 years ago.
Wow.
500 years earlier than fermented products. DNA analysis of the populations in this area indicates that adults were actually lactose intolerant, but the children remained able to consume milk comfortably up until the age of 10.
That's so weird.
It's so weird. And the researchers suggest that cheese production and associated ceramic technology were key factors aiding the expansion of early farmers into northern and central Europe. And also, what the production of cheese does is it takes a lot of the lactose out of the milk.
Ooh.
So these humans that were lactose intolerant at an adult age found they could actually consume cheese and still have dairy.
Let it go bad, and then you can finally digest it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense that the bacteria breaks down the lactose, and then, it becomes digestible.
Now, unfortunately, they didn't know the same processes, the good processes of making cheese, because they were just, fermenting it and letting it happen.
It probably didn't taste good.
Not only did it not taste good, it was filled with bacteria, and it actually created a couple diseases in early human history that people died. Lots of people died from, unfortunately. But
diseases? I told you I'm not done.
Cheeses. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that's not the end of it. Actually, at the same time, just a couple weeks ago, the world's oldest solid cheese was discovered in a 3,200-year-old jar in Egypt.
It was still there? Like the cheese was still there?
That's it, up on the right-hand corner. Little tiny piece of cheese right there.
Ew, I dare you to eat it, Jeff.
No.
How much would I have to pay you to eat that?
$10. I'm game. I'll try it.
You're like, no. For $10, yes, though.
So Ptahmes, Ptahmes, was the mayor of Memphis and a high-ranking official under the pharaohs Seti I and Ramses II in 1290 to 1213 BC. Of the 19th dynasty in Egypt. His tomb is located in the south of the causeway under the pharaoh Unas, which yields a number of tombs dated to the New Kingdom. And this tomb was lost to history. It was rediscovered in 2010 after a part of it was revealed in 1885 and lost under the sands of the 19th century. So in 1885, they were like, I think there's more tombs over there.
Oh,
and
wow.
then years later, the sands covered it up again. And people were like, remember over there we said there were other tombs?
Yeah.
Let's dig over there. And it wasn't until 2010 that they actually excavated it and did find other tombs, including this guy's tomb. One jar in his tomb contained a solidified whitish mass as well as a canvas fabric that might have covered a jar or been used to preserve its contents. So they did a lot of chemical compound analysis, and the peptides detected by these techniques show the constituting material was a dairy product obtained by mixing sheep and goat and cow milk.
Oh, weird.
The characteristics of the canvas fabric, which indicate it was suitable for containing a solid rather than a liquid, and the absence of other specific markers support the conclusion that the dairy product was a solid cheese, the researcher said. So this is the oldest solid cheese we've ever found that exists. Like, we found, remnants like we did before in that other pottery and stuff like that, but this is physically, it's still cheese, which is crazy when we find food thousands of years old. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, cheese is awesome.
Cheese is awesome.
It's amazing that it could last this long, that it's still like they look at it, they go, yep, that's cheese.
That's cheese.
They poke it, it stinks. Like, yep, that's cheese.
It's pretty cool. So, I mean, a couple different stories about ancient cheese stuff, and again, when I did the research on it, not only did I not know that cheese had originated so early in human history, but that it was so integral in allowing agriculture to span the globe.
That's
because
crazy.
It was a portable, piece of sustenance that.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like dried meat,
Yep.
dried fruits.
Yep.
just all of these things, all of these foods that normally go bad, we find ways to naturally preserve them through salts or fermentation. And that's what they had to do then. They didn't have refrigeration. They didn't have jars like we think of them. They didn't have plastic. They didn't have Tupperware. They didn't have the things that we have now. They had to be creative with gross things like fermentation and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty neat though. So, history of cheese.